The population density is shown on a globe map in tens of billions of people between 1960 and 2004. In 1960, there were 1.5 million low-income individuals and 0.75 million high-income people. At the end of 2004, 3 million people were considered low-income, while 1 million individuals were considered wealthy. Europe and North America are home to many high earners. There are low-income people throughout Africa and Asia. Unsurprisingly, the number of persons with low incomes was significantly larger than the number of people with high incomes in both 1960 and 2004. In 2011, the states with the highest quality of life were those on this list. The state of New Hampshire continues to be the most livable in the U.S., a title it has held since 2007. Utah has risen 2 positions from 2007 to take second place on the list. 2007 and 2011 saw Wyoming take the 3rd and 4th spots, respectively. The state of North Dakota has risen 3 ranks to 10th on the list since 2007. Overall, certain states have risen and fallen in the rankings of the best places to live, while others have remained the same. From 2003/2004 to 2013/2014, this graph shows how the principal financing sources for overseas students in the United States have changed. Financial assistance from friends and family accounted for 67% of all overseas students' support in 2003/2004. Foreign governments/universities and present employers make up only 2% or less of international students' principal sources of income. Personal or family income was the predominant source of income for 65% of overseas students in 2013/2014. Students who said they received their major financial support from personal or family sources have grown by 49% as the number of overseas students studying in the United States has skyrocketed. From 2003/2004 to 2013/2014, the number of overseas students in the United States expanded dramatically, yet personal and family sponsorship remains the dominant source of finance. Using this graph, you can see how educational attainment affected incomes and unemployment rates in 2012. With an unemployment rate of 12.4%, persons with only a high school education or GED had the best chance of finding work. This group's average weekly wage was $471. Those with a professional degree had the lowest unemployment rate, at 2.1%. At $1,735, this category had the greatest median weekly earnings. In general, lower unemployment and greater median weekly incomes are associated with higher levels of education. In percentage terms, this graph shows how economic activity has changed throughout time. A reduction in life expectancy has occurred from the Federation generation's 44.2 years to the Gen Z's 42.5 years, as seen in the chart below. The average life expectancy has risen from 53.6 to 70.6 years, which is a considerable increase. As a result, the percentage of Gen Zers who are inactive has risen from 9.4% to 28.1%. The percentage of people who are sedentary has risen from 17.6% to 39.8% in the last decade. The level of economic inactivity has risen steadily over the years. From 2000 to 2004, the following graph shows data on adult literacy by region. As can be seen, Latin America and the Caribbean have the highest percentage, with 89% of girls and 91% of men. Asia has the second highest percentage, with girls reporting 73% and males reporting 86%. Sub-Saharan Africa, on the other hand, has the least number, with 53% of girls and 79% of men. In conclusion, males in all regions had a higher adult literacy rate than females. Different modes of transportation in London are represented by the various slices of the pie chart. While cycling and walking are the least popular modes of transportation in London, they account for 50% of all trips. The subway comes in second with 30%, and the bus rounds out the top three at 10% each. The most common modes of transportation are the subway and the bus, while walking and cycling are the least popular. The chart below displays data on New Zealand's home prices. According to the graph, we can clearly observe that New Zealand has the highest number in 2014, which is approximately 280. The smallest number was recorded in 1992, when there were around 100 people. The graph shows that when looking at the OECD as a whole, the highest figure was approximately 140 in 2008. There were roughly 100 in 1998, which is the lowest number. This graph indicates that property prices in New Zealand have climbed significantly over the past several years. Using this graph, you can see what genre of movie you enjoy the most. As can be seen from this graph, romanticism has the highest number, approximately 6. The second highest value, about 5, may be found in action, as shown by the graph. On the graph, you can clearly see that drama has the shortest amount of characters, which is about 1. We can observe that the number 4 is prevalent in humor. The color blue is clearly seen in motion. The predominant color in science fiction is yellow. In the end, it's a valuable image. The percentage of students from underprivileged backgrounds who attend university in England is depicted in the graph. Using a graph, it's evident that the most people were killed in 2014, with roughly 20. The graph shows that 2013, with a total of about 15, has the second highest number. The graph shows that in 2006, a total of roughly 10 was the lowest possible number. As a result, the graph has grown by 60%. The metric tons per capita CO2 emissions of various countries are shown in a bar graph. For comparison, Saudi Arabia emitted a total of 19.5 tons of CO2, followed by India, 1.7, and Brazil, 2.5. In addition, Canada, Australia, and the United States all emitted around 15 to 16 tons of CO2 per capita. There were more emissions in Saudi Arabia and English-speaking nations, whereas India and Brazil had a lower level of pollution. The graph below illustrates the importance of aiming for a healthy weight. For adults, there is a BMI chart. The graph depicts the facts on BMI. The weight ranges from 30 kilograms to 150 kilograms, and the height ranges from 140 centimeters to 200 centimeters. Obesity, defined as a BMI of 30 or higher, accounts for the majority of the population. Overweight, defined as a BMI of 30 or higher, follows 30 and BMI 25, then between BMI 25 and BMI 18.5, there is a heavy weight range. Finally, it is underweight, with a BMI of less than 18.5. Finally, the information on body mass is summarized in this graph. From 1980 through 2030, the United States is expected to consume quadrillions of units of energy. A total of 4 quadrillion units of energy was consumed by nuclear, solar/wind, and hydropower in 1980. With 35 quadrillion units, gasoline and oil were the most used forms of energy. Hydropower is predicted to be the least consumed energy source in 2030, while gasoline and oil are predicted to be the most consumed, 50 quadrillion units. In 2030, hydropower is expected to be the least used source of energy, while gasoline and oil are expected to be the most used. The pie charts show how carbs, protein, and fat are distributed in 3 distinct diets: an average diet, a healthy diet, and a healthy diet for sports. It is obvious that athletes require a diet with a much larger proportion of carbs than the typical or healthy diet. The typical diet has the least amount of carbs and the most amount of protein. To summarize, carbohydrates will continue to be the most important component of an individual's diet, accounting for around half of all essential elements. India's land usage is depicted on this map. Colors of yellow and green show the quantity of arable land and forest in India, respectively. The color orange indicates that a large quantity of unproductive land is concentrated in the northernmost part of the map. Non-agricultural terrain is shown by the red coloration towards the northeast. The great bulk of India's land is either used for agriculture or is covered in forest. This pie chart represents sector-wise electricity consumption in India in year 2014. Electricity consumption is highest in industry, followed by residential, agricultural and commercial sector. Consumption of electricity in residential and agriculture sector is almost equal to that of the industrial sector. Consumption of electricity in the transportation sector is negligible. Agriculture sector uses electricity mainly to pump out groundwater for irrigation. The data on the graph pertains to food in the future. The graph shows that by 2035, when looking at world wealth, the biggest number, 90, will be discovered. In 2005, the least number is roughly 45 people. According to the graph, we can clearly observe that in 2035, the highest number of EU citizens will be about 65. There were roughly 30 in 2005, when the lowest number was recorded. To summarize, this graph depicts data on global food consumption in nations like Japan, India, and China. The graphic depicts how homeostasis, sometimes known as perfect health, may be achieved. To live a healthy life, one must have a well-balanced lifestyle that includes mental stability, adequate energy, and, most importantly, drive to keep the spirit alive. The triangle represents a healthy mix of relaxation and stress management, food and nutrition, and fitness and exercise. For greater fitness, one should eat a good food and engage in healthy workouts. Nonetheless, it is critical to maintain a calm demeanor and maintain stress regulation. A perfect blend of positive energy, mental stability, and a highly driven mindset will result in 100% health. The chart below displays data on New Zealand's home prices. According to the graph, we can clearly observe that New Zealand has the highest number in 2014, which is approximately 280. The smallest number was recorded in 1992, when there were around 100 people. The graph shows that when looking at the OECD as a whole, the highest figure was approximately 140 in 2008. There were roughly 100 in 1998, which is the lowest number. This graph indicates that property prices in New Zealand have climbed significantly over the past several years. From 1700 to 2000, the world's population doubled, as shown in this line graph. To get from 0.375 billion to 0.75 billion people in 1715, the global population grew over 544 years. As of 1881, there were 1.5 billion people on the planet, an increase of around 266 years. From 3 to 6 billion people in 1999, it took 39 years for the global population to double. By 2025, the world's population is expected to grow from 4 billion to 8 billion. Global population is expanding at an ever-increasing rate.